to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
Happy June.
This is Rogue.
It's Rogue. Oh, in your shirt. Yep, we've made it to June. Today's the last day of May. When you see this, it'll be June. And summer is starting. Well, summer started here a while ago, if you go by temperature. Although it's been kind of mild the last couple of days. It's been nice.
Yesterday it was 103.
103, but it didn't feel like it.
That's because you were inside. And
I
you
was
didn't have to walk.
True. That's
you didn't have to walk for your lunch.
But yeah, so we're already, Arizona's summer in like April, so, but that's okay. Anyway, officially on the calendar, it's basically summer. I think of June 1 as summer, even though it doesn't start officially till the 21st.
I always thought of summer as the middle 3 months, June,
Yeah.
July, and August, because
July,
that's
August.
when traditionally we would be not in school.
Right.
Now, they end late and start early.
I know.
But, August 1st or something is when they go back.
It's sometimes at the end of July, some districts. Yeah, it's crazy. But we hope you're having a good week. Grab your stitching and grab your favorite drink. I've got the customary Diet Coke here. And sit back, relax, and enjoy some convo with us. I'm going to go first. I actually knit this week. We had a...
I can vouch for that, I saw her.
Yeah, well, I had the week off of work, so that was... it was the week between my old job and my new job. So I had some time off, and then we had a craft day at my house on Thursday with Rachel and Eve and Beth, and so I was able to have some time to just sit and knit for a bit. So it doesn't look any different.
It's longer.
It is a little bit longer. So, but I did measure it. This is my aunt's sweater. 3 rectangles, 2 triangles. I'm showing you the back, sorry. This is the front side. This is the back, and it looks all scrunched up, but it's really quite wide. And then these are the... What?
It's not all the way in camera.
Oh. Sorry.
Just hang it in front of Beth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the back, and then, the 2 fronts, and I have them on this big cord. As you probably are all familiar, I'm doing all 3 pieces at once because I have really bad what we call second sock syndrome. So I don't want to do that. I didn't want to knit one and then knit the second one and then knit the third one and keep track of rows. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it all at the same time. I really should photograph this and send it to Stacey Perry and tell her, this is how I did your sweater, because I have short attention span. So I'm working on this. It is at about 20, I think I measured it on Thursday at about 23 inches. It needs to be 27. So that's where I am. It feels like I'm making progress, but it's slow progress because each row is, so long across all 3 pieces. But I'm glad I'm doing it this way. I'm very, very happy with that. And as for yarn, these are the rest of my yarn. This is the ball for the back, which will run out sooner than the 2 balls for the fronts. And then I have 2 more skeins left. After I'm done with these, I have to make the sleeves. So I'm probably going to have to start one of these for the remainder of the back. And then just kind of figure out the sleeve yarn. I know, I'm pretty sure I have enough yardage for the sleeves. I just have to jerry rig it since I'll be doing the sleeves 2 at a time. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge.
Sorry, I didn't cuss while you were...
Oh, don't cuss. Don't cuss on camera. Don't make So,
This is wrong. Majorly wrong. Unfudgeably wrong.
You can talk about it in your
Yeah.
segment, not mine.
Sorry.
So I have a yarn ball winder at home that turns these skeins into a nice little cake. And
That's why I just handed her.
right, and I always knit from the outside. I know some people knit from the center, which you can do with this ball as well, but you can't knit from this. So when these run down, I'll wind these other 2 skeins. This is all I have. Now this is enough yardage according to the pattern. So hopefully it'll all work out. If not, hopefully I'll be able to find the same dye lot.
It's pretty long.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. Then Eve gave me her yarn. Now you can knit from this. You don't like knitting from this? You like a little
I got a
bit?
big knot from the middle,
Oh, okay.
and then I ended up having to make it into a ball anyway, and you know, the ball rolls around everywhere, whereas the cake will basically stay in one place.
Yeah.
And
So she wants me to rewind her little, this is her other sock skein. She wants me to rewind it into a cake like this that will sit flat. So I will take that home and do it. And I've had a couple of ideas for some cross stitch. Eve was helping me with design on Thursday. One, I want to have a little cross stitch that says visualize world peas for my old boss. I want to make that for her. And then for my office, I want to have one that says begin with the end in mind, which I really like. My past president, CEO, said that in a staff meeting one day, and I wrote it down and I made a little sign just on the computer, just the words printed out. And I thought that would make a really nice cross stitch, begin with the end in mind. So we were talking about that. And so if I get those to fruition, I will bring those to the table and show you guys. And I think that's it. I have stories, but
I'll go next
Just
because
kidding.
Beth,
Yeah,
is,
'cause I'm in the
Beth
middle.
is cursing.
I'm cussing and clucking.
cuss.
Me
we're a
too.
no cussing channel.
I'm actually frogging right now as well. So, this pattern has bunnies that run across the top here.
What is that pattern?
There's a hare in my garden. It's the giant berry.
Mm.
And as you recall, I had the beginnings of a bunny last time. And I'll show it to you
She
now.
was so proud of her bunny.
I was happy. I started a bunny.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right, now the thread's on the outside because I'm frogging. Okay. I realized that I went up one too high on the back of the bunny, and I could have just added another row. But then the hands would have leaked past the edge of where they should for the berry.
For the stitching.
Yeah. And I thought about it and I thought about it and I was like, the bunny is fine otherwise. And then I said, no, it needs to be in a particular spot. So I'm frogging. And this is what it looks like. I started on another bunny before I decided to frog because I needed to think about it a minute. And so hopefully by the time I take a picture of this at the end of this, it'll be completely frogged out and I'll have started. And this thread, when you frog it, it's not happy. This pearl cotton.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I am still plugging away at this, although at the end of this month, which would be today, I will be putting this away probably for the summer. If I get the other things I have planned done, I will take it out again because I really, really, really want to work on it. Okay. Remember I talked about hearing Kathy from Hands On Design say that some people were making biscornus out of those patterns of, sorry.
What is it called?
They're called this is the summer basket. They're 3-play pillows. And I wasn't planning to make pillows out of them anyway, but I went,
Can you see that?
that is such a good idea.
Oh my gosh, with the little star.
I found some little shiny stars
Little
that go with
star
the shiny
button.
white that I used.
Oh.
I'm really happy. It took me the better part of 2 days to do it, so I don't have as much here, pile-wise.
She kept asking me, how do you make a biscornu? What do you do? And how do you, but why do you, something trying to.
She's made a lot of them. And there are errors that
So
I can
this
see.
is just
but
2 squares offset
It's
Yeah.
2 of
by a
these.
quarter,
It's
right?
2 of these.
So you
yeah.
take the square and you offset it by
Yeah, that's what I always talk
1/4.
about. It's like this and like this.
Yeah, that's so cool,
Yeah,
Eve.
so I was really happy, and I'm gonna have to message Kathy Haberman. If you had not mentioned that, it never would have occurred to me, and I did that, and I am so happy. But I'm still
So-
working on the third one.
But there's 3 designs, right? So how are you gonna?
I'm gonna finish this one in a pillow,
Okay.
not like these,
Yeah,
not like that.
I say you can make this score, and you just make
like a plain back.
yeah, like a
Yeah, well,
on the
I
other
have-
side do a simple like one of those, you know, some simple pattern for the corners.
Yeah,
And you could leave the
but I
middle
don't want
blank.
to. I want to make a little pillow that goes with
That
the.
goes with it. Oh, that'd be so cute.
That's nice.
This is so.
So this is where I am
neat.
on this one.
Congrats on that.
So this is, the Biscornu is made out of the top 2. This is the back, and this top one is the front, and so the pillow will be this one down here. And I am beyond happy, and I will do that with the other one that I have already purchased. But since I'm doing that, I'm not positive I will buy the others, at least not soon. Because I have more patterns than I could possibly do in my lifetime.
But the question is, do you have them with you?
Yes,
Because if they're in storage,
they're not
oh.
in storage.
If they're in storage, you can pretend they don't exist.
Yeah, then just buy a new one.
I did not do that. So, WIP-GO called this for one of my new starts in June. This is called A Sweet Memory. And it reads, seems like only yesterday that you were very small and left for me a memory of handprints on the wall. And she told the story that they were cleaning the room or something where their son had been. I guess he went off to college or something, I don't remember exactly. But they were cleaning out that room and there was a little baby handprint on the wall. And she cut it out of the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I have some awesome memories of when my son was little, but I never had him playing with ducks and blocks. I didn't get him till he was 2. He was past the blocks and ducks stage, or I just never bought those, I don't know. So we dyed fabric. I dyed this, which I'm going to use for this pattern. But I didn't want to use the ducks and the blocks on the bottom, and I forgot about the blocks up here, so I'll probably do something different there. But I made this bottom for it. Some swim goggles, a towel, and the words, "Save the Citizen." He was not a baby when he would play that, "Save the Citizen." But if some of you remember a movie called Sky High, they had a game that they would play called Save the Citizen, where they had to save a dummy from that was going to be killed, and you know they had the evil side and the good side, and he could swim better than me when he was 6 years old. And he was very strong. And we would go to the pool and he would play Save the Citizen, and he would grab me kicking and screaming, and he'd drag me to the deep end of the water. I wasn't going to drown, I know how to swim, but he would drag me to the deep water, and then he'd go back and get somebody else. And it is one of my favorite memories of him when he was small. So he wasn't that small, he was maybe,
Like middle school age.
no, when he was playing that, he was in 3rd grade,
Oh, really?
4th grade, yeah. Anyway, so that's going to be on the bottom. And so I'm not going to have the blocks or the ducks, but the word "it," I don't know that I want to put it in blocks. So I have to think about that. So I'm going to start from the bottom up. So, so that I can think about it and decide if I need to design something else or just write IT.
Yeah.
you know. So that's what WIP-GO called for my new start for,
June.
yes, June. The other one that was called is Cougar Country.
Oh, I
Cougar,
love that.
Cougar Canyon, sorry. It's this beautiful pattern by Pigeon Coop Designs. And I was looking through all of my fabrics for something that I could use for this. And I didn't do the cross stitch calculator because I wasn't going to actually cut any fabric yet. I just looked at what it said, and it said for 18 count fabric, because what I'm using is 18 count fabric, it said that it needed to be 8.5 by 12 or something like that, the fabric. So I was like, oh, yeah, I have this big 18 count fabric, I'll use that, I'll do that. And I dyed it. This is how big it is. Why is it only this big? Because that is definitely not 8.5 inches, because this is, right? The pattern is only 60 by 90. I would have to have a 2-inch border and a 2-inch finishing area, and for it to be 8.5, no, I'm not doing that. So I don't, if I'm gonna frame it, I'm not gonna need a big old border around.
I don't understand. So that is the size that it's going to be? Oh, okay. I'm so confused by all your math. I don't understand cross stitch.
I was confused by the math too. I kept checking it and double checking it and triple checking it, going, that can't be right. It says it's 8.5, but it's only 60 by 90. So I have more of that blue fabric if I made an error and it needs to be bigger. But 60 by 90. That's the size of that's close to the size of the,
Can I see the plan? Can I see the picture?
Part of it has to do with how they finished it, how they,
well, if you're gonna frame it with,
a margin and a mat and.
Oh, I see. Well, because the stitches are really big in this picture. I thought it was a really big picture, but now that I'm seeing it, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
so these are all 57 by 58 stitches high.
Yeah.
This is Moonlit Moth, and all of them were required to be the same. This is the Night Garden series.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost done stitching this. So
Yeah.
here's where I am. I would be done, except stitching this moon is driving me bananas, because it's quite a bit of counting to go from one area to another. But I can't see, like, to just glance at it
The
and
dark
see
fabric.
how many I'm going across. So I'm having to put something light underneath and holding it in the light, which is why I'm not working on it right now. There's just not, I would be,
It's not good light in here.
I would be going
Yeah.
like this the whole time. You wouldn't even see me. But I'm finished with the moth, and I'm just working on the moon, and then I'll do the filigree on top of the moth. That should be easier because I already have stitches there to tell me where I am. And you have to do this pattern in a certain way, or the moon won't look the way it does in the picture, and I want it to look the way it does in the picture. So I may redo this one over here. I started doing them a different way. Now, the only other thing I have is my sock.
Is it done?
I'll talk about that. So this is Perfect Fit Crochet Socks, crochet pattern by Olga Poltava. And if you look at this picture, past the heel, there's quite a distance, and then the ribbing area is also quite a distance.
Let me see.
I don't like socks. But when I wear socks, it's like, who's that guy that if I drink, I drink?
Yeah.
Dos Equis. Okay, so from the heel up, it's supposed to be 2 inches, and I did 1.5 inches. So the ribbing is supposed to be 2 inches, and here's a picture of it on my foot. And I'm thinking that maybe one more row just to finish off this red color. But if it starts to go white again, it'll look weird, because this green is right here. So I don't know. I may decide that it needs to be done now. But because I think I could stand it on my foot like that. Now, my foot is fat, so it makes some little lumps, okay? No judging. It's not the pattern. If you look at it, it's flat on the pattern. That is my foot that's causing it. It is still a little snug toward the front of the thing, but it's still, if you look at it, it's flat and it looks right. So that's just the fact that I have a fat foot. And I'm done. That's me.
I'm still in the process of frogging, and I was so proud of myself.
She said, I have a little elephant.
And then I was looking at it like,
I was proud of my my bunny too. Look where that got me.
yeah, pride cometh before a fall.
That's right.
So, I take a fortifying sip because I have a lot of blabbing to do.
Ouch. Sorry.
So for WIP-GO, I had finished, my stuff, my main whips. Last week I talked about, well, maybe I'll do a little bit more on the beaver if I get around. No, I didn't.
We had some showings. We were exhausted.
Yeah. But so I had my 2 new starts for WIP-GO for the month of May. And so the first one I started on was this Let It Snow, one of the Jingle Ball bauble ornaments from their ornament book. So I was doing a little Let It Snow. and my, I had this pattern sitting on the bed, and one of my cats got a hold of it.
I went up to any paper he's near.
Yeah, I kind of think Snug did this because he was the culprit lying near where the thing was. But yeah, he
may just be guilty.
I had gone to the bathroom or something, and I came in, and this little, booklet thing was slid down here and like a velociraptor had been in there. Yeah. Anyway, but it didn't. Fortunately, it doesn't.
What's
really,
funny is that it's in the middle.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And I thought, well, I could reprint it. It's just a PDF, so I could reprint it if I have to. But I think I can kind of, figure it out without doing that.
Just reprint the page.
But so anyway, yeah. But this was where I got to. I was working on the snowflakes and all that, but I did the inside border all the way around, and I did the little cardinal. I finished the cardinal. And the rest of it, there's like a branch across here with snow and stuff, and then the words Let It Snow.
Cute.
So anyway, I worked on this all the way till Thursday because we were going to dye fabric, and I didn't want to start on Parade of Elephants until I dyed some fabric for it. I had planned on doing this 25 count Lugana, and it's kind of a white color, and I was going to dye this, and I forgot. It was in my pile of things to dye, and I just didn't get around to doing it. I forgot about it, and I didn't realize until I had already thrown out the dye and cleaned everything up, yeah. And I was like, oh, I forgot to do this. And so I thought, well, I guess I could just do it on this off-white color and, whatever. But then when I got home, I thought, I've got a piece of this weird, light pink 28 count Lugana, which is my sweet spot. I like 28 count Lugana. And and it was the right size, and so I do that. And the colors look good on it.
And then you messed it up.
And then I messed it up. I was so proud of myself because, part of it is that has this, this red kind of border around the picture, right? And so I thought, well, okay, I'll start in the corner and I'll start with that border, and that way I can, figure out where to put everything. Let me get this out of the way here. So I started with in this place here with the straight line at the border, and I put in this little flower and this bird, and I, did all this down to here, and I did a little bit across here, just so the end of a thread or whatever. And did I do that? I don't know what I did.
So it was this elephant you started on?
Yes, this elephant on the bottom. So I got down here and I got across the border, and this is all right. I counted it a bazillion times, and so this is correct. And so I started on this elephant, and I had counted down here to make sure I was in the right place, and I had started to stitch the outline of this elephant, and that's what happens when you're stitching when you're dozing off.
I think any craft
Because
is you're dozing off if you're trying to do it.
I'd gotten around to it, and I was like, I was, like I said, doing the outline of this first elephant, and I got over here, I had already done all his trunk and across the top of his head, and I've done his eye and his ear, and across his back, and come down, and I did like, I started on the back leg, and then I went down and I did the tail, and I came back up and I did the rest of the leg. The one section of the leg, it's like, here's a line, here's a line, here's a line. And I got to that third line, the bottom of the lower part of the elephant's leg, and I was looking at it and I thought, this is not going to fit. From the end of where I was, I needed like 6 or 7 stitches or something, and I thought, this is not right. And I got to that here, and I thought, well, this is going to hit the border. It's not right. It's not in the right place. And so I thought maybe I had miscounted here, or miscounted the length of this red line, or whatever, So I'm like, I was looking at it. No, I miscounted the elephant. On the elephant's head here in the front, there's 2 stitches, 2 stitches, 2 stitches. But I only did 2 instead of 3. And so so the error was all the way back here. And there's no way to really fudge it.
Why didn't you start from the border to the tip of the trunk?
I did. I started here on the tip of the trunk. But when I went up the head, and I did just 2 instead of 3. See, I started here, I did the trunk, and then went up this way, and I did 1, 2, and this should have been 3, and then the diagonal things.
I see.
And I didn't. So he was like,
I see.
2 stitches too low or whatever. I don't know how many stitches, but it's wrong. So I'm plucking it all out. So I started to have a parade of elephants, and now I don't. I just have a parade
of frogs.
Of frogs.
A parade of
frogs.
That's you. That's both of you here.
Yes. So I have just one little flower.
I just found the episode title.
But I'm glad actually I found this pink fabric, because I thought, I'm not a pink person, but I think
it's going to look great.
It looked, I thought, with all the colors of the
grays and blues.
Yeah, it's a very colorful pattern, and I was concerned, because like I said, the only dyes I had available, because all my dyes are in storage, was the blue that she had at her house, and I just happened to randomly bought a green color at Walmart or whatever. And so I thought, well, I could do a very light wash of blue or a very light wash of green, but just a very light dye on it, because it's so colorful, and all the different shades of all the different colors. I didn't want anything that would overpower it, be too dark or too whatever. And I just happened to see this because I was resigned to have I guess I could stitch it on white, but then I
That's
thought,
much better. That's very
yes,
happy.
this is very nice, and it's really only
Beth, pink is not going to hurt you.
no, it's not gonna.
It's not going to turn you into a girl.
White is
or
gonna hurt
anything.
me. White is gonna hurt me. No, but the funny thing was that I talked about how I went out and bought some fabric at Hobby Lobby the other day because I was going to dye fabric for these things. And because I thought, I think I have plenty of 28 count stuff, Lugana, and I've got some more Miranda Correa, I've got all this stuff. And so when I was looking through my fabrics, I thought, well, no, I don't. I guess I used it. And what it was is that I had another bag of fabrics that I put away. Because I had this bag that my brother bought me for Christmas that has an elephant on it, and it's a big, big tote bag. And I had pulled.
Technically, he bought it for me.
Yes, but
then
we had a big trade. But I have this little drawer, thing, one of those Sterilite plastic drawer things, and I had several bags of fabric in there. And I had a bag of scraps, and I had a bag of just, I have a couple of really big Lugana pieces that I'm hoarding for someday when I want to do a big project, like Pandemic. I have that on one of those, on a big piece like that. But anyway, so I have these big pieces of fabric, and then I had a few smaller pieces of different kinds, and I thought, well, I guess I used all that 28 count Lugana that I thought I had. And then I was looking in my closet, I was looking for something else, and I opened up this one. I had another one of those Sterilite plastic drawer units in my closet, and I thought, what is this? And I opened it up, and it was that lobster bag that you bought me from Boston. It's a big canvas tote bag. It's got lobsters all over the front of it, and it's got these big rope handles and a lobster zipper pull. And I opened it up, and lo and behold, there was all that fabric. There was a big old stack like this.
You know what that means?
I gotta dye more fabric.
You gotta dye more fabric and start more patterns.
It's a big old stack like this of 28 count.
Oh my god.
Because I had separated it out very cleverly. I thought, oh, this bag, I'll just put all the 28 count in here. So there's a big old pile of it. And then the other Ziploc bag I had in there had several pieces of 32 count Belfast linen, 28 count Belfast linen, 32 count Miranda Correa,
Girl.
and just all kinds of fabric. And I'm like, yes, my fabric. so yeah, I found it all. So yeah, now I have all fabric for all my patterns. Anyway, like my mother says, when you clean, you find treasures.
Yes.
But you'll still buy more every time you go to the store.
Oh yeah, so anyway, so coming up this summer, I have a ton of stitching to do, and so like I said, that Parade of Elephants is part of my May thing, and I don't have any set goals for those. So technically, whatever stitching I'm doing it today, I will have hit my goal, and that's the end of it. So, but June is the WIP-GO numbers, of which I have 4 projects, because I have 2 WIPs and 2 new starts, right, for every number called. So I mean, 1 WIP and 1 new start for every number called. So I've got 2 and 2. But I also have cross stitch camp. So June, July, and August, I did dyed fabric for each one of those projects. So this is June. Stitch something that shows whether you're a night or day stitcher. So this is, I chose the Celestial Sisters Biscarnu after Eve mentioned it.
I wanted that pattern.
Yeah.
But when she told me what the thing was, I was like, she needs that pattern.
So it has a sun for the daytime and a moon for the nighttime. And so I dyed some 28 count Evil Weave because all my Lugana was in the closet. But so I have these 2. This is a lighter blue for the day and a darker blue for the night. So I have those 2 for June, my June cross stitch camp project. And then I also dyed fabric for my other cross-stitch camp projects. I'm going to do those right away to talk about those. So for July, the challenge is your favorite designer, and so I picked one of my many favorite designers, and this is Tracy Horton of Ink Circles Forget-Me-Nots. This is one of the Nashville night garden designs, and so I did just a very light washer green fabric for this, because this will, as Naomi advised me, this will not compete with the colors that are on here, because the kind of a Concord grape is the blue on here, and it's, you know, it's pretty dark, and so, and there's a green also, and so this will just give it a little bit of color behind these colors and not compete with it. So that's ready to go for July. And then for August is the Starry Starry Night Restore You. And this is the picture is, you know, pretty dark. I think it's Mystic is the color, and I can't remember. The dyer is either Picture This Plus or there's another dyer, but I think it's Picture This Plus, but I'm not sure. Anyway, it's Mystic as the color, but it's a pretty dark blue. And so I went a little bit darker. This is 18 count Ada, and I went a little bit darker, but not real dark, but I think it's got to be dark enough. And then, because these are the colors that are on there. And the only color I'm concerned about is there is a blue here that's kind of light here. And I was kind of, anyway, it's in here. But I was, you know, kind of concerned, like, you know, how are the colors going to be on here, especially because there's a black, you know, this black color. But I think it'll show up well. And the one color I was concerned about is this blue right here. Here it is. And so I think it'll show up well enough. I looked at this picture of the pattern and I thought, where is that blue? You know, and it's like there's a cloud. It's around the cloud. So I think it'll be okay. So that is my June, July, August cross-stitch camp project. So the other thing I dyed was for WIP-GO. My other WIP-GO call, sorry, that I did not dye it for, is I had my last line of my WIP-GO patterns, the up to 25, whatever that were last thing. The numbers were 21 and 23, I think. So all that bottom row of my WIP-GO chart were technically WIPs, but technically new starts, because they're part of like ongoing series. So this Black Cat season was part of it, and this is number 6 in the Black Cat season thing. And I did a bell pull, so I'm not going to unroll it because it's very long. But this is number 5. So number 6 is going to be a new start down here. I haven't moved the hoop yet, but it'll be down here. And it'll be this one, which is the last one of this series. And I'm hoping, I really, really hope I can finish it. It's fairly simple with that big moon and the big cat, and then it's just words and then the
can
thing.
finish that.
So I think I can finish it, but I have a lot of stitching to do in the month of June. So anyway, this is one of my WIP-GO calls. And then the other WIP-GO call is this Stacy Nash, probably I can't say that name, Calling of the Sea. And last summer, for part of Cross Stitch Camp, I did this ship down here. And, you know, it comes with these 3 patterns. So there's a compass and a whale. And I wanted to do the whale, but it's very large. It's like 145 by 112, so it's pretty big. But the one that was on, so it's on my WIP-GO board, you know, but it didn't get called for this time. What got called was the compass, which is pretty small, 68 by 65. So this is the fabric that I used for the ship, right? So I thought this would be really great if I could use it for the whale and use it for the compass. They could all be on the same fabric. The only problem is the whale is, it's like, I need like another inch or two of fabric each direction or something. So I couldn't quite make it fit. And I thought, well, maybe I could do a small margin. I don't want to run into the problem of just not having enough space. So the compass I could probably fit like here on this small thing, and I'm just going to have this larger piece of fabric just for something else. But so what I did was I dyed another piece of fabric. And this is a slightly different color, but it'll work for the whale. So so I went ahead and dyed this. This is 28 count even weave. And this is 28 count Lugano. But anyway, so I'm going to put the compass. That's my June WIP-GO call for my other pattern. And so then my new starts for my June WIP-GO calls are these more Stacy Nash animal crackers. So Blizzard is one. This is the fox, and has a little snowman, and then Millie is the other call. And Millie doesn't have a little thing, a small pattern to go with it, but you know, it's not that big. But so these two, and then the third one I have of these is Chili. The penguin. The penguin is the one with the snowman. Sorry. This fox is the one that has a little like needle book kind of thing. Anyway, these three I bought. Was it Jingle Ball or was it Spring Mingle? I don't know. I bought these recently. Jingle Ball, I think. Yeah, Jingle Ball. But so since the two were called, I went ahead and dyed. This is, what did I say this was? I want to say this is Marron Corée. But so I just went ahead and dyed. I dyed 4 pieces of fabric because even at 32 count, these animal crackers are actually bigger than they look. When you look at the picture, they're a little small. No, they're pretty big. And like the pattern says, these are done on 36 count, and the finished size was, like for this Blizzard, this little fox, is 5.5 by 8.5. So it's 8.5 inches tall, right?
On 36 count.
Yeah, that's pretty big. And with 28 count, they would have been huge. And so this is 32 count, finally, I think is what I settled on. So I went ahead and dyed 4 pieces of fabric because there was one of them I couldn't quite fit both pieces on it or whatever. So I went ahead and dyed 4 pieces because I thought, you know, that'll give me some wiggle room on that. So anyway, so with these 2 whips, technically new starts, and those 2 actual new starts, the animal crackers, that's a lot of stitching for, I knocked over the Squishmallows.
It's okay.
You killed some Squishmallows.
But then also the scoring you for June, my June cross stitch camp stitching. So I have a lot of stitching to do. And fortunately for this Parade of Elephants thing, today's the last day to work on this. So hopefully maybe I'll get an elephant done by the end of the day. And
So you remember what the pattern is instead of just a line?
Yeah. It's like, what is this line? What is this bird? What is this pattern? Yeah, so anyway, that is me.
That's you?
Yes.
All right. That means it's time for question of the week. So last week, everyone must have been out partying on Memorial Day because we didn't hear anything from you guys about what you do on Memorial Day. Good. So that's great, though. And thanks we had lots of views, and we are grateful for that. So this week, our question is, since it's the beginning of summer, what are your summer plans? Do you have stitching summer plans? Do you have actual summer plans?
Your vacation plans?
Warm weather travel plans? Do you have start a new job and never get to surface again plans? That's me. The organization I'm going to, their on sale day is my birthday. So that's going to be no fun. And so anyway, I am going to be.
But one of the best concerts I've been to was
Up there,
with them.
yeah.
So
No, it's a great organization. It's starting a new job, and they're starting their sales. Right as I get there, hit the ground running, I'm gonna die. So, whereas the job I just left is like, okay, summer.
Yeah.
I start with the summer programs on Monday.
You get the young Rembrandts.
Yes, the first one is the Polynesian. They can't say Moana because that's copyrighted.
Right, copyrighted.
But she goes, I've never seen the movie,
Trademarked.
so I don't know anything about it. And I'm like, you want me to sing the songs to them?
I was gonna say when I
I can go,
was
make way.
when
That's a good
I
movie, though. It's such a good movie.
when I worked at Family Life, we were doing a software switchover, going from basically what were called dumb terminals for the customer service reps, right? When somebody called, you enter speedy codes and it would pull up whatever. And so they switched to a Windows-based ordering system, and so everybody had to learn how to use computers, because we had some old ladies who had never held a mouse before, didn't understand that, and I barely knew, right? And then using basically a Windows-based software and clicking on this and click on that and blah blah blah, and so we had a week of downtime, and they were supposed to get our department up and running first before anybody else, because we're the front lines of, we answer the phones and everything. And also the week that we were going to be going live, we had somebody, taking orders for us during that downtime, and we were learning how to use the software. But so when we went back when we were supposed to go live with this new software and everything, it was the week of sweeps, which is what they called our sale promotion thing for the new upcoming season, all the and so it was like everybody was like trying to learn how to do this software, and that's how I ended up writing a manual.
No, those days are no joke.
Yeah, because it was like I had to write down a cheat sheet basically to say what you click on to do this, and what you click, because the customer service reps, they knew how to take a person's name and address or how to take the order, but what they didn't know was, what do I click on to get to that screen so I can enter it? Yeah. And so I made this, I sat there all night making this thing, and
So to put it in perspective, last season on their first public on sale day, so they do a pre-sale for donors and stuff, and then they do public on sale day. On that first day last year, they did $800,000 of sales in one day.
And they're hoping to do better this year.
Well, of course, but still, it's just that is mind-boggling. So, it's going to be really, it's going to be tough. Now, fortunately, I've used this software before, and I've been actually doing training in an overlap situation. Before I left, my old job, I have been actually doing some training just to kind of retrain myself in the software. So anyway, I'm not totally cold, but yeah, it's gonna be. So that's what I'm doing this summer. So we want to know what you're doing this summer. Are you guys going planning vacations? Are you at home? Are you stitching? Are you staying by the pool?
Hopefully we'll be moving.
Hopefully you'll be moving, and so let us know.
I was going to say, I was thinking the other day, I was reading an article about this guy, I guess, determined that people born in a certain area, you're not quite boomers and you're not quite
Gen X.
Gen X. And so he called it Generation Jones. I don't know how he came up with the name. But it's
That's
for people,
you guys.
people born
Yeah.
like from 1950 something to 1964. So those of us, and I thought, that's how all of us older kids, my brother is born in 57, Eve was born in 59, I was born in 60. And so we all fall into that because we're like not old enough to have like been in the Vietnam protests or anything like that, and not young enough to really, be millennials. But we're
No, I'm not a millennial. Gen X, you mean?
Gen X, I mean, whatever. I don't know what they're called.
Excuse
I
me?
don't know.
But
In
like
junior
but
high,
I thought,
I had friends that were wearing POW bracelets.
I know a lot of kids who did that, but they were not, like I
They were in
remember.
the college protests.
Yeah,
Right.
and they weren't in Vietnam. They're going to Vietnam and things like that. But I remember that era like a kind of like by the words, because on the news they would talk about the Tet Offensive, or they would talk about Kent State, or they would talk about Haight Ashbury and all that. But it was nothing that we were involved, because we were all kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So that's
so yeah, I thought but
Well,
But I
what's weird, like being a Gen Xer like me, actually, and Mark too, is that our parents were not baby boomers.
Yeah.
Our parents were builders.
right.
And so it's a different vibe.
Yeah.
When you're raised, you kind of, because you guys we are like in this weird
In between.
between gap.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was thinking about though, because I was trying to decide, how we all fall in that, but I thought things like the Zodiac Killer that was in the San Francisco area. I was thinking about some time ago. I was thinking about the years that he was active, and I was like, that was the summer that we took
Went
that
there.
big vacation to California. So our family of my parents and us 4 kids, and my aunt and uncle and their 2 kids, the 10 of us all jumped in this van and we drove out to across Arizona and to California, and we went to Disneyland and the San Diego Zoo, and we went to San Francisco, and we rode the ferry around Alcatraz and the Golden Gate Bridge, and we went to the Sequoia Kings National Forest and all this stuff. So we did this big vacation, but when we went through San Francisco,
That's right.
that was when the Zodiac Killer was around. And I know what year it was, because that was the year Naomi turned 5. She had her birthday in Oakland, California, because we were staying with my uncle's family.
Zero memory.
And so
I remember one scene of the San Diego Zoo in my mind, like a photograph. One scene. And I don't even remember if there was an animal in it, just like the sidewalk, like maybe there was a enclosure on the other side of that area. I just have this like one frame.
You know what I remember
Of San Diego
the
Zoo.
most about that trip? We got to San Francisco and it was so cold, because everywhere else it was hot. It was summer. It was so cold that Mom went and bought you this cute little outfit. It had a little head, little jacket. It was so cute because you were freezing.
Yeah,
Did
I
we
have
get
a-
coats? No.
no, we got
basic.
sweaters.
We got
It's the baby.
windbreakers.
I also have a vague memory of San Francisco, and I always think, well, that must be from a movie, but it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
kind of a strange
What I remember is
vantage point in my memory, but I don't remember that.
I remember a lot of that vacation, because I remember when we would stop at a restaurant to eat, all of us kids thought it was really fun to go in and sort of shock the waitress by saying, because she would come to how many in your party? And we were like, 10! It was so exciting to say 10, because it was so, and
Because they would go,
yeah. But I remember
Well, if I was 5, you were what?
I was not quite 12. Yeah, I was 11 and a half.
So that's a prime time for memory.
And so I remember like we ate at some restaurant in, I think it was in Fisherman's Wharf, but they were like cowhide, like square kind of things on the wall. And I remember Ghirardelli Square, I think, in San Francisco, like through a rainy window.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
And then also riding on the ferry through the bay in San Francisco was freezing and it was wet and, you know, and being on there. And I remember Naomi, for your birthday, you got that outfit and then you were also riding around on somebody's tricycle on these wooden floors in this house. And I remember, like I said, bits and pieces.
We went to a relative's home.
Yeah.
But that wasn't in San Francisco. That was
No, Uncle Paul's family lived in the Oakland area, and that was where Naomi's birthday was.
Yeah, that would not be San Francisco. That's
no, I said it was Oakland.
Anyway.
But anyway, but when we went to Disneyland, we were staying in Anaheim because my mom had a cousin and an uncle who had a restaurant. And we ate dinner at that restaurant, and then we stayed at their house. And all of us, the adults stayed in the house, and maybe Naomi, I don't know. But the rest of us kids, they had a camper, and we stayed in their camper on the driveway.
Naomi stayed in the house.
Yes, because that's the baby.
But that was just a fun trip.
So
it's good to be king.
On one summer, my ex-husband and I were driving our motorcycle to go take it so that it could go to Belgium. Well, technically they went to Germany and we had to drive it to Belgium, but that's a different story. But I had to change my plane reservations and all that for, like I said, it's a long story. But they were already in Houston. They were going to go out to eat. Mom and Dad came and got me at the airport. I hadn't eaten in 2 days. Long story. I'll tell it on my channel at some point. But so I hadn't eaten in like 2 days, and they said, "Oh, we're going out to eat." And we went to this Mexican restaurant, beautiful restaurant, had a waterfall inside, and I arrived at the table, everybody's there waiting, and it wasn't just Uncle Paul's family, it was, I think, Uncle Dan's family, but it was more than just us, but it was in Houston. And the table just kept going and going and going. I was like, where it was bad enough when it was 10. Yeah. But I think there were like 20. And there was a lot there. And I ate myself sick. I was so hungry.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we took a summer vacation to mountains in New Mexico, and my Uncle Paul ran into a bear.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They scared each other and went opposite directions.
Yeah, I've always loved camping. We would go camping as kids, and we've tried to take our kids camping we've tried pretty often. We don't always make it, but 2 summers ago, Hannah said, "I want to go camping for real, like tent camping, not go to a cabin." And we're like, okay. So we pulled out the old tent, and we're like, our kids were much smaller when we had this tent. They are full-size adults now, and we do not fit in here. So we bought a new tent, big, gorgeous, 2-room, and I'm like, and also, I do not sleep on the ground any longer. So he bought these big beds that are self-inflating, which are so great. You plug them into the Jackery, which we take camping, and you plug them in.
I thought you were camping for real.
We were. We were in a tent with dirt and everything. But so these beds inflate on their own, pretty comfortable. But I remember Dad going, "I don't know why you want to sleep on balloons." So that's That's what I always think of.
That's because when we would tent camp, we slept on the floor.
I know.
And
when we were little, my dad had an old army tent that from when he was in
it was
the
so
army.
hot inside.
He had a canvas, green army. I could smell it. I could smell the canvas. He had an army tent and he had an army cot. And one time when we were very, very little, I was pretty little. I don't know how young we were. It was before Naomi was born. And we went camping somewhere, and Mom and Dad were squeezed onto the cot, and all of us kids were sleeping on the floor. And at one point, Eve got up and was wandering around, and Mom goes, "Where do you belong? Like, why are you not in bed? Where do you belong?" And Eve goes, "In Albuquerque."
She doesn't remember that. She just remembers.
Yeah, I just remember my mom telling the story.
Because if I was 3, she was 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
One of those summer vacations.
that's a dog.
Barky.
One of those summer vacations in a camper, we ran out of food because we kept wanting to stay longer.
Yeah, we had to go down to
sardines.
Yeah, we had to go down to the little town nearby and buy some food one time, and
Yeah.
was-
So tell us what you do during the summer and what your plans are this year, because our plans are very boring.
Yeah, we wanted to go camping this year, but between my new job and Hannah's job, we're not gonna. I don't think we're gonna make it.
And with us, the most adventurous thing we want to do is look for a house and move.
Yeah,
And we
exactly.
can't until this house sells. So
Right.
all of y'all be praying that this house sells.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I want to move in June, not July.
For real.
yeah.
For real.
Although I don't think I've ever moved in this town except when we came to this house, that it wasn't July.
I know.
We moved
And also, remember when you rudely moved on my birthday?
Yeah, when Eve first moved out here to Phoenix, it was
It was my birthday.
It was July. It was Naomi's birthday.
Yeah, well, it's just another day of the
Well,
calendar.
that's what I'm saying. That's what Naomi gets for having.
Excuse me?
That's what Naomi gets for having a birthday in the summer. Everything happens. You go on vacation. Her birthday's in Oakland. You go on.
Well, there's been some years I'm like, the only thing I want for my birthday is to wake up, open my eyes, and see the top of a tent. Yeah, I really would love to go fishing this summer, but I don't think I'm gonna make it. So.
Yeah.
Well, we always talked about what would be fun to do would be to write a memoir of all of our camping stories, because we have a million camping disaster 1975 or whatever, camping disaster 2015 or something like that.
Well, you know what?
Because-
My Facebook memories from last weekend,
Mm-hmm.
his Memorial Weekend, where we were in Greer 4 years ago. With
Yeah,
Dad.
that came up
Yeah.
in one,
Yeah.
And
We had a catastrophe.
Yes, because every year we have some, like that one time that Mark went to light the
stove?
camp stove, and burned his
burned his
eyebrows off or
Yeah, but
whatever.
in Greer, Dad fell down.
and hurt himself.
At first we thought, it'll be okay.
No.
And then we went, no, it won't. Pretty quickly.
And but because there was a huge fire out in the Greer area.
Yeah, there's
So
been a
when I
fire.
saw that memory come up, I told Mark I can't even look at pictures of where the fire was because I don't
afraid.
want to get sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know forests
Beautiful,
grow
beautiful,
back,
beautiful.
And I don't think
But
there was
Greer
any
is-
loss of life, but
Greer is surrounded by mountain,
yeah, it's a little tiny town.
forest.
So I was like, oh, I don't want to look, but no, that was really it. But it was a really nice, beautiful area, really, really nice time.
I'll say one of my favorite camping disaster stories is the year that we had cows come through the thing, and you and I were up late at night, and there's a big, gigantic bull as big as my mom's van.
Yeah,
It was
standing right there. Oh my gosh.
Well, when you see pictures of
bear.
cows and all that, you don't really have any idea of scale. If you watch those shows, those vet shows or something, and they're working on large animals, you may have some idea, but
Do you see what it
huge.
huge? Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So there's two funny videos I have to tell you about. Well, I think I told you about one on Thursday, but there's this one where these kids kind of trick their grandpa at Starbucks. And he's like, because he was like his first time ordering at Starbucks, and so he's like, "What do you want?" And they go, "Can I have a frappe motate and a venti pinkety drinkety?" And so the grandpa just takes their word for it. He just orders it, and you hear the Starbucks. I go, "What the hell?" I don't think we have that. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's my first time." And I was sitting. The reason it was so funny to me is I was sitting because Mark does not like to go through drive-thrus, and he's always nervous. He doesn't know how to order. He's always saying, "I don't know how to order." And so I was like, this is how your dad imagines he will sound. I sent that to the kids. It was so funny. But the other one I saw this morning, I have to find it. It's this little girl. They're on a porch of looks like a cabin or something. And on the other side of the fence of the porch, there's a bear. And it's like coming to smell the house or, investigate. Mm-hmm. And the little girl says, "Can I pet that dog?" And they're pulling her away. She goes, "I'll pet that dog. Can I pet that dog?" Like it's not a dog. But it's just so funny. "I'll pet that dog." But she has the funniest, cute little, let me see if I can play it. She has the funniest, cute little accent.
The one
While you're looking for it, I've seen videos of dogs that they come to the door to come in, and they look out, and the dog has brought home a deer, or the dog has brought home a pig, or something, and they're like, no.
One of my favorite memes is there's one with there's a glass door or whatever to the porch, and there's a puma outside looking in, and this cat on the inside of the house is looking back toward the people going, and the cat just says, "Mom, Aunt June is here."
I was going to play the audio on this. Hold on, let me start it over again. Here we go. No. Can't be that dog. Can't be that dog. Oh my gosh.
I'm surprised that the bear didn't run away.
I know. The bear's like, "I ain't no dog, lady." So funny.
I don't know.
I always think
she was not taking no for an answer, that little girl.
What?
She was not taking no for an answer.
We have our garage, our trash can. We have like a recycle bin, trash can, and a garbage trash can, and so our garbage trash can is outside. And so you go through the garage, there's the outside garage door, and there's the trash can. And so, I typically go out there, but sometimes I'll go out there at night because I, change the cat litter box or this and that and the other. And so I go out to put something, and I think one of these days I'm going to open up that door, and there's going to be a scorpion or a bobcat or something out there. I'm so afraid of opening that door to put the trash out. That it's going to be some creature. Can I pet that dog? We always joke about when the dog has to go outside or something, like, don't let a bobcat eat you, because one time Naomi was dropping me off at home, and as she was leaving, there was a bobcat going from house to house.
I have photos of it and video of it.
Yeah,
walking
and there's
on the sidewalk.
Coyote.
Down.
I read something about somebody had went to rescue a German Shepherd. And this poor German Shepherd looked injured or whatever. They put it in their car, and they found out from their friend it was a coyote. They had this coyote in their car.
It's not a German Shepherd.
I think we better be done.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna cut my hair today. New job, new hair.
Hair tar, Squishmallow. I knocked
Oh,
them all
those
down.
are all the McDonald's Squishmallows. I have one at home. They're cute.
Yeah, the dogs are telling me that they need to go out.
It's a little cactus.
There's a little cactus, there's a kitty, there's a
This
bat.
is a monster.
I have 3. Beth has 5.
4.
4?
Yeah.
They're cute.
I have mine
I
in my
have
car.
real Squishmallows.
Yeah.
I'm a Squishmallow.
I don't want a big one because my dog would just eat it. So,
Well, thank you so much for joining us again. We hope you have a great start to your summer, and we will be back.
I fixed
here.
it. I fixed the
You took out the elephant. Okay. We will be back again next week. Thanks so much for joining us. Please like and put on your alarm bell and share. Thanks so much.
subscribe.
And subscribe. I forgot about that part. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.